Now I'd like to introduce our speaker, and this is one that I'm very excited to provide for you today. This is Dr. Laura Ricci. She is a She is a licensed doctor of physical therapy, specializing in women's health and pelvic floor rehabilitation. She is also a certified women's health and functional nutritional coach through the Integrative Women's Health Institute. I'm kind of curious to hear about this. She says through her own medical challenges, including cancer, major orthopedic surgery, and Lyme disease, she found a passion for nutrition. So I would like for you to welcome Miss Dr. Laura Ricci.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here. Give me just a few seconds to pull up my PowerPoint and we'll get started. We had such a good turnout. Okay. So this is one of my passions, is empowering women to reclaim their health, because I often get asked, you're a doctor of physical therapy, what are you doing in functional nutrition and health coaching with women? And like she mentioned, many of us are wounded healers. And I came to this journey of functional nutrition looking for answers after being diagnosed with an extremely rare sarcoma called a desmoid tumor that 2 out of 1 million people get. And I joke, with odds like that, I should have bought a lotto ticket. I probably would have had a better chance of winning. And going through that journey, being told in my 20s that I could not have children because my abdomen was reconstructed where the tumor was, and that the likelihood of pregnancy and the changes in hormones would cause a recurrence. Then being told I had fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, there was nothing they could really do for me, and being diagnosed with adult hip dysplasia and going through 3 really large hip surgeries on each of my hips. So I, as a physical therapist, became the patient. And it's very different when you are the patient, right? And then in 2015, after searching and searching for answers, because things just weren't adding up, and I just wasn't going to accept that this is just the way that things are going to be, was diagnosed with Lyme disease in 2015. So I went looking for answers, and I love this image and I love this quote: when a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. And that's what we're going to be talking about, is getting to the root cause of what's going on with these complex chronic health conditions. And I think it was just my grit and looking for answers, and I got my own health coach through the Integrative Women's Health Institute. I started changing my diet. I noticed huge improvements, and after trying pretty much everything from surgeries to medications to different treatments and not getting results, I was getting results with changing my diet and lifestyle. I was like, I have to learn more about this. So I took a 1-year certification in women's health and functional nutrition coaching, and now I'm taking a 2-year nutritional endocrinology practitioner training program to learn more. Because I was like, man, this is inflammation, this is the missing piece. I was thinking about all those patients that I saw in my practice in the clinic that just weren't getting better. And I was like, oh, we need to bring this in. It's an integrative approach. So that is really a passion of mine. So of course we have this, right? This fun thing that, again, this isn't intended to replace a one-on-one relationship with your qualified healthcare provider. This isn't intended as medical advice. What I'm doing here is just providing you education from my own personal experience and resources and the training that I've had. And I really encourage you to partner with your healthcare professional with all of the stuff that we talk about here. So, nutrition tips, back to the basics. What does that mean? Well, it basically means eating how our great-grandparents ate. And I love this. It just cracked me up. Try organic food, or as your grandparents called it, food. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what is the buzz with organic. Is it really worth the increased prices to get that? What does that mean? And we're going to look at that in more detail. So when we talk about eating real food, what we mean is whole, unprocessed, unrefined food. And what's really interesting is there was a study that demonstrated that the emulsifiers in packaged food increases intestinal permeability or leaky gut. And we're going to be talking more about what that is. That's a big buzzword that we're hearing nowadays. Eating real food also means pasture-raised, also known as grass-fed or wild. We're talking about our meat or poultry. And it's really interesting. There's higher levels of several vitamins and minerals when you choose those upgraded versions. Grass-fed bison has 4 times more selenium than grain-fed bison. And what I notice on this healing journey is I truly believe that the body is able to heal. We just need to give it the right foundation. We're miraculous creatures, right? That's how the divine intended us to be. We just need to clean up the foundation a little bit. And what I've also noticed on this journey is when we stray from the rules of nature, the way that God intended for things, is when we get into trouble. Cows are supposed to eat grass, not grains. They're also supposed to be able to range free and not be in these little tied up compartments where they're getting sick all the time. They're eating food that they're not supposed to, so we pump them full of antibiotics to keep them alive and fatten them up faster for money. And it kind of comes down to that, the bottom line. So we're going to talk about that too. Also, eating real food means local, organic, and seasonal as much as possible. And we do the best we can. I don't think this is about perfection. I don't think it's necessarily even possible to eat 100% organic perfectly all the time, but we do the best we can where we can. So I like to start with just adding. I'm not going to pull the carpet right out from under you and tell you, here's a list of all the things that you can't eat. Have fun with that. That doesn't work, right? It's not sustainable. So what we're going to do is we're going to add before we take away, adding in more nutrient-dense foods and slowly crowding out the bad stuff. So eating more vegetables, more leafy greens, they have so many health benefits and properties for us. So I want this to be fun. I want people to actually play and cook and get into the kitchen and try a new vegetable. And you may find, oh, I really hate raw broccoli, but if I roast it, it's really amazing. Or roasted cauliflower can be really great. So playing around, getting your kids involved is really important, and drinking more water. So all of these are great places to slowly add. We want to come from a place of abundance, not scarcity. And we want to eat a rainbow. Variety really is the spice of life. You want lots of dark leafy greens. The more colors on your plate, the better. And you could even consider like a powder drink, like a green drink, to kind of add and help support that vegetable intake. Now, the World Health Organization recommends 9 to 10 servings of vegetables a day. How many of you guys are doing that? Oh. So now, I do say this, please do not go from eating like 2 vegetables a day to 10. You will not like me. It's a lot of fiber. But ideally, we start slowly and we work up to that. Now, some vegetables known as nightshades like tomatoes, red bell peppers, eggplants, potatoes can be problematic for some people. And I see that clinically with joint pain or spine pain, things like arthritis, low back pain. It depends. It's different for everybody. So I really believe in a bio-individual approach, really individualized approach with people. Corn is actually a grain. It's not a vegetable. It's very high glycemic. It tends to spike people's blood sugar levels. And so this is kind of a generalized talk. I get really into the nitty-gritty in my private health coaching practice, but I really preface that. I don't think everybody should eat paleo or everybody should be vegan, but you should find the right diet that works for you, and you'll know it because you'll feel great and your energy will be great. So we want to start with organic as much as possible. If you can't get everything organic, please get your meat and poultry and eggs organic. That would be the very first place to start on this journey. This is a really great list. It's from the Environmental Working Group. And this list will tell you if you can't purchase everything organic, here are the top 15 things that you could get just conventional. And this list is also in your free gift. So you guys get a fun free gift from me at the end of this, so stay tuned. So I don't want you to feel like you have to write all these down or anything. You'll have this as a resource. But this is really helpful. Again, corn, I'm not such a great fan of it. If you tolerate it okay, that's fine. But you can kind of look here and go, okay, if I have to put my dollar and be really specific with my budgeting, maybe I can get a regular avocado versus an organic one and buy organic strawberries. So this is a nice reference point for people. Now, this is the dirty dozen list. These you always, always, always want to buy organic, and it is worth the money, and I'll tell you why, and we'll go into that. But you'll notice it's things that we don't necessarily have appeal, things that we just eat, like strawberries, apples, spinach, things like that. And it really is worth it to spend a little bit more for your health to get the organic versions of these foods. So this is really handy to have as a reference when you go shopping so that you can quickly look and make those decisions as needed. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about toxins. And there are over 54 pesticides used on conventionally grown strawberry crops. So what does that mean? 9 are known or probable carcinogens, things that cause cancer. Not good news for me with my medical history, because I was told you have a 50% rate of recurrence. That's like flipping a coin. So I do what I can where I can to prevent that. 24 suspected hormone disruptors. How many women have issues with their hormones right now? How many women are struggling with infertility, with endometriosis, with crazy hot flashes and not feeling good, and they're going to their doctor and they're like, hey, I feel awful, and they're told, oh, your labs look great. We don't know what to tell you. Those are the women that come and see me because they're searching for answers and they feel really crummy, and we are not lab tests. Like, you guys know when something's not right with your body, and that's what I encourage my clients with, is that the doctor is the expert in medicine, and we are the expert on our body, and when we combine that, really powerful things can happen. 12 developmental or reproductive toxins, not good at all. 11 neurotoxins, and things start to get really interesting when we start to talk about brain health, right? Things that it can affect our brain, it's not good. And 19 honeybee toxins, and without the honeybees, we're really in trouble as far as being able to have produce and our food. The good news is that eating organic versions of these items on the Environmental Working Group's list can reduce your overall pesticide exposure by 80% in 3 to 5 days. Isn't that amazing? The body's designed to heal itself. You give it the right fuel and it's ready to go. So I love to think about this as, again, nourishing within, nourishing ourselves, giving ourselves what we need to really flourish. And this is really interesting too, pesticides and autoimmune disease. There was a 2007 study, 300,000 death certificates over 14 years were showed that farmers exposed to pesticides were more likely to die from a systemic autoimmune disease. And recent research linked household pesticides with an increased risk of developing autoimmune diseases like rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. Autoimmune diseases are rampant right now, and they're especially higher in women. So this is another area that I'm very, very passionate about, because an autoimmune disease means the body is attacking itself. And I feel like conventional Western medicine doesn't have a whole lot of options for us to help us besides, here, take this medication for the rest of your life. But I'm talking about not masking symptoms, but treating the underlying root cause, changing the foundation. So I really liked this. I saw this on Instagram. Wake up, America. Your food is banned in 30 countries. It's true. Genetically modified foods, GMOs, Europe doesn't even allow those in there. They're like, no to the no. We're not letting that nasty stuff in here. But it's everywhere here, right? It's everywhere. So you literally have to go against the grain to kind of get away from some of this stuff. But it's like, change is coming and it's slow, but there are more options. Hey, Walmart has organic food now, and we as consumers vote with our fork. So as far as sweeteners, because this is a question that I get quite a bit, we want to avoid the refined sugar and opt for natural sources as much as possible. I like things like organic stevia. I really like the sweet leaf stevia drops because they're flavored. You can put them in your water. Organic xylitol is very nice as well. They don't tend to spike blood sugar. Even things like maple syrup and honey, they are higher glycemic. And with my private clients, I've seen it really spike their blood sugar levels. So when we're talking about complex health issues, we're talking about the 3 I's, inflammation that can be going on, any underlying infections, so like Lyme disease, that's an underlying infection, or that could be Epstein-Barr virus like mono, could be H. pylori, could be small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. There's a lot of different things that could be going on, but also insulin resistance. And we have to address all of those things to bring the body back into balance. Some people, even the higher glycemic fruits like mangoes and pineapple, can really spike people's blood sugar. So if we're working on hormonal balance or weight loss or just kind of feeling better, some adrenal insufficiency stuff, I recommend going lower glycemic, even lower glycemic on the fruit, because even though it is a natural source of sugar, the body, sugar is sugar is sugar, and the body recognizes it all the same. So things like berries, green apples, not red, because red are sweeter, right? They have more sugar, and pears are really great places to start that are lower glycemic. We need to eat fat. The 80s really messed us up on that whole low fat craze. So your body needs fat. Your brain is composed of fat. You need cholesterol. You can't make sex hormones without cholesterol. And how many women are estrogen depleted or too much estrogen or not enough progesterone? We need a balance with that. So things like nuts and seeds, if you tolerate them well, and sometimes people find that soaking the seeds overnight can really help and make them easier for their body to digest. Now, cashews, peanuts, and pistachios are able to accumulate mold a little bit easier. Peanuts are actually not a tree nut, they're a legume, so they're grown from the ground. And I tend to recommend if you're going to get nuts and seeds, get them from a place like Natural Grocers where they keep them in the cold, refrigerated section and keep them in your freezer or your refrigerator when you take them home so they're less likely to get moldy. With that, rotate your nuts and seeds. It is not helpful if you're always eating almonds, almonds butter, almonds, almond flour. You can build up sensitivities to things. So as much as possible, again, variety is the spice of life with all of this. And there are other healthy fats that you can do, like coconut oil. I know, the American Heart Association, I got lots of emails about that one, guys. Let me tell you, I was like, ooh, we all need to take a breath. So the, right? You guys, you saw that, right? The article? Oh, so the LA Times just came out with a rebuttal. I shared it on my Facebook page. You should check it out. It made me chuckle a little bit. But here's the thing. The American Heart Association is funded by these people. There's not a lot of coconuts grown in the U.S., right? Yay for Hawaii, but we don't have them everywhere. What do we have? Grains. Where's that vegetable oil coming from? Grains, canola oil. It's not vegetables that oil is coming from. So that's helping to fund them. Look at where they're getting their funding and sources, and we need to think about that a little bit when we make choices. But coconut oil is not bad. Please eat coconut. I would much rather have you do coconut oil than vegetable or canola oil. Coconut butter, full fat canned coconut milk, avocado, olive oil, hummus, the nuts and seeds. These are all great healthy fats. That's what keeps you satiated. If you're hungry an hour or two after you ate, you didn't get enough healthy fat. So don't hate on fat, the right kinds of fat. Now trans fats, no. Like, we need to avoid those and the fried foods and stuff like that. But we need to leave the coconut oil alone. It didn't do anything to us. Like, stop hating on coconuts. Okay. So hydration. This is also an important foundation for our nutrition. Interestingly enough, when I dug through the research, I couldn't find a specific recommendation per scientific literature on how much we should stay hydrated. So the recommendation is half of your body weight in ounces. I really like Dr. Sarah Gottfried. I follow a lot of her stuff, and she recommends 3 liters of water a day. But again, I think this is individualized. So drinking throughout the day as much as possible is really important. Filtered water is best if you can. Avoiding plastic is going to be really, really helpful because, again, we're getting BPA and toxins. We want to decrease our load where and when we can. And if you want a little something to flavor it up, do a squeeze of lime, a squeeze of lemon. I'm a big fan of high-quality essential oils. Again, not the stuff that you would get at the health food store, but you would always want to check and make sure that's safe for internal use, but something to kind of flavor that up because some of my private health coaching clients get a little bored with just water. So make it fun, make it spa water. There's a lot of ways to do that. And I recommend that people drink out of glass or stainless steel as much as possible to help prevent the different endocrine disruptors and things that are coming in and affecting our hormones, affecting our thyroid, affecting our liver and our kidneys. Okay, now we're going to talk about letting go of things, right? Oh, you knew it was coming at some point. Hey, we added, right? We added, and now it's time to let go a little bit. Now, this list isn't for not everything for everybody. Again, it's bio-individualized, but yeah, the processed food, the chemicals. Yeah, did your great-grandmother eat a whole lot of Pop-Tarts? Probably not. Gluten, dairy. We'll talk about some of these in a little bit more detail. The trans fats, yes, the canola, the vegetable oil, let that go. The GMOs, we talked about that a little bit. Again, corn in some people. MSG, I don't think that's a great thing and can do a lot of troublesome things for us. White potatoes in some people, not everybody. And so when people ask me this, I'm like, it depends. Everything depends when we get really individualized. Even in some people, grains, even gluten-free grains like rice may cause some inflammation. For me, that's the case. If I even eat gluten-free grains, I know my face is going to break out the next day. So that's telling me there's some inflammatory response to that. So I make the choice. Do I want the gluten-free pizza or do I want a clear complexion tomorrow? Sometimes I choose the pizza. Sometimes I don't. It just depends. And again, we talked about factory farm meat, poultry, and eggs. Always start there with organic if you start anywhere. Alcohol. Oh, let's have a talk about alcohol, shall we? I know. I don't want to be a buzzkill here, but It's sugar. It turns into sugar in your body. There's a reason why we beer bellies. We've all seen them. There's a reason. It's also very inflammatory, and it weakens the lining of the gut. And we're going to get to intestinal permeability and all of that. And caffeine. Again, it's very acidic, often cross-contaminated with gluten, and weakens the lining of the gut. So a lot of us, if we're getting, truth bomb, let's real talk. A lot of us are self-medicating with coffee in the morning to get us going and alcohol at night to sleep. Right? Preach. This is real. And that's not, when we actually think about it in that way, that's not a great place to be, right? Because we're stimulating, coffee's basically saying, come on, get going, get going, get going. We're artificially stimulating ourselves to get through the day. But what that's telling me is, what is your body telling you? If we're trying to force things that maybe we shouldn't, maybe your adrenals need a little bit of support. What's going on there? And there's a difference between, I really like the smell of coffee, it's my morning ritual, versus I need coffee to function in the morning. So just kind of check in with that and kind of see. But it is one of those inflammatory things. And I have health coaching clients that are like, I'm not giving up my coffee. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Let's look at other areas where we can support you. So we all have that hard line in the sand, but we can support where we can. I really like this. If you don't recognize an ingredient, your body won't either. Love inflammation. So I don't count calories, I count chemicals. And our bodies are really smart. Our bodies were not designed to eat yellow number 5. If it looks like it came from a science lab, probably did. Your great-grandmother didn't grow yellow number 5 in her garden. There's a difference there. So these are the top 7 food sensitivities. And when I talk about sensitivities, I'm not talking about allergic reactions, you need an EpiPen, you're going to the ER. I'm just talking about a sensitivity that's causing some underlying inflammation in your gut and in your body. And it's affecting our immune systems. And that is something to kind of take note in. And this is where I feel like, again, we can work on those foundations and we individualize it for everybody. Does everybody have sensitivities to all these foods? No, but they're pretty common. That 1 or 2 or a couple of these on the list may cause some sensitivities and some issues. So I really love this picture from Dr. Axe. I like Dr. Axe. I follow some of his stuff. But this describes what leaky gut is. So here you see we have a 1 cell layer thick. This is the gut. So when we're talking about the gut, we're talking about the small intestine. You see those little finger-like things on the top of the cells? Those are the little villi. They increase the surface area for what we're absorbing vitamins and minerals and nutrients into our body. And it's kind of a fragile system because it's not like cell layer upon cell layer upon cell layer. It's 1 cell layer thick here. And those cells are held together with tight junctions. And the tight junctions are like the bouncers in the bar. They let the good guys in. They say, okay, your vitamins and minerals, we need you. Come in, we'll absorb you. And they keep the other guys out, like big proteins and things. They're like, nope, you're going to go in, you're going to keep going through the digestive tract, and we're going to excrete you. We don't need this. What happens is, through many different things, as you can see, stress, different toxins, different food particles, if we're eating things that are inflammatory or our body doesn't recognize, certain prescription drugs like antibiotics, we way overuse antibiotics, guys. For a lot of times, certain things are viral, and the body just needs to kind of work on its own. There is a time and place for an antibiotic. Don't get me wrong. I had hip surgeries. They gave me antibiotics. And then I had a candida overgrowth and had to go back and heal my gut. But they can be hard on the system and different pathogens. So if we have any underlying infections or things, that can be rough. Now, what happens is at a microscopic level, that gut lining becomes leaky. Those tight junctions break down, and now we have these little gaps where things are coming in where they're not supposed to be there. The scientific word for this is intestinal permeability. Because I have a lot of patients that are like, oh, I told my doctor about leaky gut and he told me that you're a quack and there's no such thing as that and it doesn't exist. You can type into PubMed. It's a public website with tons of peer-reviewed literature and evidence-based research. If you type in intestinal permeability, the last time I checked, there was over 300,000, something like that, articles. It is evidence-based. It is research. There are now tests that show intestinal permeability. This is a real thing. The problem is the average healthcare provider is about 17 years behind the research in functional medicine and nutrition. They're just not taught this, guys, and that's not their fault. And they're busy. When are they going to have time to learn all of this? So there is a lot to be said about this. What happens then is that particle, that could be a piece of chicken that you ate, a piece of gluten, whatever it is now going through being absorbed into your bloodstream, that big protein that's not supposed to be there, and the body launches an immune system attack. Red alert, this isn't supposed to be here. What's going on? This can lead to food intolerances, right? How many people are like, everybody's allergic to gluten now? We didn't have this when I was growing up. All these kids are sensitive to dairy. Yeah, because our food is different. We didn't have this kind of food. And GMOs, I think GMOs came around like 1994, somewhere in there. It has completely changed, and the body revolts because this is not our normal state. And this is why you're seeing food intolerances and allergies and things just blow up everywhere, because the system can only take so much with this. So that leads to immune system issues, because now it's in our blood. Now it's systemic. It's going through our whole body, our whole system, and then that leads to autoimmunity. So the cool thing is, again, I've seen this be reversed in my clients and me. I guarantee you I would not be up here teaching and talking and doing the work that I do if I did not have my diet and lifestyle and those things on track. It's been a journey. It's been a long journey. But that's the encouraging piece, right? We have options now. So again, this is a great image to show it's systemic. It's affecting the whole body. So from mood, the number one symptom of celiac disease is depression. But how many people are checking that or telling people, hey, why don't you take out gluten for a little bit and see how you feel? No, we're popping antidepressants like Tic Tacs. So it's masking a symptom. We're trying to cover up all these holes with Band-Aids, but we're not really getting to the underlying root cause. Skin stuff specifically, that's their body screaming for detox and trying to get stuff out of the system, like acne or eczema, psoriasis, thyroid issues. How many people have hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's, Graves'? And then the typical things that we think about, constipation, diarrhea, IBS, IBD, but it could also be some adrenal fatigue. You just feel tired all the time. You don't really know why. You just feel awful. Morning's the worst time of the day for you. You go to your doctor, your labs are fine. That's what you're told. Rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, headaches, joint pain, sinuses. I used to get upper respiratory infections, sinus infections all the time. Like every 2 weeks I was in there. And I changed my diet. That hasn't happened since. Completely went away. So this is cool because it puts the ball back in our part. We're reclaiming our health. It's very empowering. So what I recommend is actually an elimination diet. There are several things that you can do. There are tests. There are blood tests. There's the allergy test where they poke your back, and it checks different things. The immune system's kind of set up like we have the Army, we have the Marines, we have the Navy. Well, that's kind of the same thing. We've got IgG, IgA, IgE. Now, the IgG are going to be like the blood tests, and you can see if you've got a delayed reaction. The IgE are kind of the immediate, they poke your back, and then if it's red and swollen, they kind of look at that. But we're looking at it from many different angles. And the cheapest way is to just do a test on yourself. Just see, and that's actually, I think, going to give you the best results because you're going to be able to see and feel those changes in your body. So, but here's the thing with an elimination diet. It has to be you have to be a label-reading gangster. Like serious. And you have to look at this because it's like being pregnant. We either are pregnant or we're not pregnant. We can't be a little bit pregnant. So I'll have people say, well, I just had a little bit of gluten. I'm like, And here's the reason why. The inflammatory response from these foods can last for up to 3 weeks. So when people tell me, I don't have a problem with dairy, I only eat yogurt once a week. I'm like, well, that inflammation can linger for 3 weeks after you ate that yogurt. I've seen some specific literature for gluten say that it lasts for 6 months. And usually I will tell people you need to give it about 3 months. If you have any type of health issue, joint pain, fatigue, brain fog, any of those things that we were kind of going through, any health issue in general, I would say go off the gluten, dairy, sugar for 3 months and give it some time. If you feel great, if you have tons of energy, you feel good, your weight is maintained, you're good to go, who am I to tell you how to eat? It's working for you. Fly. Like, do your thing. But if you're struggling, if you don't feel good, if you're having different health issues and you're going to doctor, and nobody can really figure out what's going on, this is an option that could really help you. So you can do them all at once. You can take one food at a time, but you got to remove it completely for 30 days. And then we do a reintroduction and a provocation, which basically means we add it back in at high amounts and see what happens. So if you take out gluten and then you reintroduce gluten, it's easy to do, right? Waffles, pancakes, cereal, Pop-Tarts. Load up in breakfast time. Here's the thing. If you get a symptom, stop immediately. And this could be you got a shorter fuse with your kids. You're feeling really irritable. You're starting to feel depressed. You don't have energy. It's not just the GI stuff, guys. Your face breaks out. You get joint pain. You start to notice you're not sleeping as well. Those could all be signs there to kind of look into. If you're doing good, you do that for 3 days. So adding in that food, have gluten with breakfast, have gluten with lunch, have it with dinner, see how you feel. And if you get symptoms, stop immediately. Wait 3 or 4 days for those symptoms to calm down before you reintroduce anything else. So that can be really important. Gluten, it's everywhere, right? So again, it's highly inflammatory. Everyone has a temporary leaky gut after eating gluten. The antibodies to gluten actually attack the thyroid. So if you have any thyroid diagnoses or symptoms or anything like that, I recommend taking it out. Over 300 autoimmune diseases are associated with a sensitivity to gluten. That's not celiac disease. That's just a sensitivity. And there's a really great iPhone app there, Find Me Gluten Free, that can help you. It actually shows you stores and restaurants in your area that have gluten-free menus and options. I've been eating this way for 5 years, guys. It's totally possible. I travel. I have a life. You can do it. Lots of foods that contain gluten. I won't go into all of these, but one that I get mentioned a lot is Ezekiel bread. It's gluten, guys. It's a sprouted grain, but there's still gluten in there. It's an upgrade. I'd rather have people eating that than white rice or white bread, but it's still gluten. It's in a lot of things. It hides in a lot of places. So again, label reading gangsters. We have to check and be really diligent with that. And here's all the symptoms. Again, I won't go into all of these, but if you're struggling with stuff, the joint pain, the headaches, the exhaustion, even infertility, some things to kind of look into there. Dairy, again, it's high in sugar. It causes a lot of problems with our gut. We're not really meant to eat dairy. We're the only mammals that continue to eat dairy after we've been weaned, when you think about it. And there's a lot of other substitutes. What about calcium? Guess what else has calcium, guys? Vegetables, leafy greens, broccoli. Lots. You can get it from a lot of other places. And there's a lot of medical conditions linked with dairy. So just something to take into consideration. Foods containing dairy, anything that has lacto, anything that has curd, pudding, custard on the package, all things to kind of look out for there. And sugar. You're sweet enough already. You don't need that sugar. It's addictive. It's 8 times more addictive than cocaine. The struggle is real, right? Gluten's addictive. Dairy's addictive. So start where you can. Cut out those immediate sources. Swap to the stevia like we mentioned too. You can calculate your sugar content. So 4 grams of sugar is about 1 teaspoon, which may change the way you look at things when you're reading the ingredient label, because you wouldn't just spoon out teaspoon after teaspoon and just give that to your child and have them eat it, but we do it all the time with some of those foods that are really high in sugar. And just check out for those hidden names. And again, in the free gift, these things will be there for you too. I thought this was really interesting though. 275%. Women with PMS consume 275% more sugar than those without. Because what do we crave? Chocolate! But that can be contributing to the PMS and the period cramping and the pain. And soy. A lot of it's genetically modified. It's a class 1 carcinogen. It's very estrogenic, that building up hormones. So when we're talking about endometriosis, fibroids, cysts, hormonal problems, don't switch to soy. Soy is not going to be good unless it's organic soy. But it's not my favorite. So just things to kind of look for. Bottom line, listen to your body. You are an experiment of one. Listen to the signals that your body gives you. Track how you're feeling. Keep a diary. Be your own detective. How are you sleeping? How's your energy? How's your moods? How are your bowel movements? Are you having a bowel movement every day? We should be pooping 2 to 3 times a day. We should have 2 to 3 well-formed bowel movements a day. If not, we have a problem. If you're only going once a week, we have a problem. Because just like babies and pets, when we eat something, it needs to be coming out. Otherwise, we're kind of building up toxins in the body. It's not good. And then tips to enhance your digestion, because just as important as what we eat, it's also how we eat. So Prayers before meals, gratitude, deep breaths to get you out of that stressful state is really important. For some people, if they have acid reflux or heartburn, just doing a teaspoon, working up to a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar before or after their meals can be a game changer. Also dairy, also gluten. And then considering a digestive enzyme or a probiotic, these are all things that can really help to support you too. And these are your top list here, the pillars for optimal health. Eating real whole food is number one, but also working on staying hydrated, finding some form of movement that you love and do it daily. We shouldn't be trying to beat our bodies into submission. Do what you love. If you love to dance, dance. If you love to swim, swim. Find some movement that you love and do that. Take time for rest and pleasure and self-care. Yes, we need self-care. Nobody taught me that in school growing up. We're not taught that, but that is essential. I was a workaholic and my body let me know, and I think cancer was one of the forms that because I could never say no. I was a people pleaser. I'm very protective of my boundaries now. And I think that comes from self-worth and self-care and knowing that you're enough and you're not chasing all these gold stars. With that, spending time in nature, making sure that you're getting enough sleep. One night of poor sleep will make you more insulin resistant the following day. I have some clients who are working on balancing their blood sugar. We don't even touch food. We just get them sleeping better, and their blood sugar starts to come down. Find something to laugh at. I do believe that laughter is the best medicine, as you guys can see from my little funny pictures that I put up here. And breathe. We're in trouble if we don't breathe. Take a deep breath and stay in the present moment as much as possible. So this is your free gift. Write this down, screenshot it. You just type this into your web browser. It's bit.ly/Dr. Laura ebook. And yeah, no strings attached. You don't have to sign up for my newsletter. I have one. If you want more education, that's on my website. But this is here for you. You can download. What's cool is you can download it to your iPhone, to your iPad. You can have it with you on your phone when you go grocery store shopping. It's got a lot of the stuff that we talked about. Totally free. I know we got started a little bit late, so I won't be able to do a Q&A as we had planned, but I will be hanging out here a little bit afterwards. So if you have any questions, please feel free to come up and ask me, and I would love to share and answer those questions as best I can. And thank you guys so much.